Are live. Hello, all newcomers, and welcome back, my fellow Aeternians. As always, it's me, Emperor AP, and with us, our ally, our friend. Of course, I need to make no introductions, but we have the great Emperor Von Doom of the Empire of Drakkonia with us. How are you this morning, Emperor Von Doom?
I am wonderful. Peace to all of you out there who are watching. Peace to all of you who are not watching. Peace to all mankind, all womankind, all animal kind, all kinds. So,
Amazing. Well, it's great to have you here today. I wanted to talk a little bit about our big project in our capital of Vitae, the Garden of Nations, something we've been working on and planning for a long time. Last
mhm.
year, we hoped to get an initial start to it, but had some trouble. This year, we're coming back with some bigger plans and some things that are going to be underway in short order. So, excited to talk about that. Excited to learn more about what's been going on in the Empire of Drakkonia, the Draconian Empire, and about what it is that we are planning jointly in the future. So,
Yeah,
again, thank you for being here. And
thank you for having
I
me.
guess I will start with a question for you, Emperor Von Doom. Um, in the time that you have been running Draconia and in the time that you've been in the micronational community, um, do you feel like there is uh, a good way that you can barter or trade or connect with other nations on a more physical level?
From what I've seen since I've been exposed to it, most of the micronations that reach out to me have been overseas. So that wasn't practical. I think I've mentioned in some of our other videos and other platforms I've spoken on, the first nation to reach out to me was the Hutt River Province in Australia, and they are no longer functioning. But of course, interacting with Australia was not happening. Even today, it would be impractical. Um, so, looking at this, somewhat of a, I don't want to call it a dilemma, but for us to interact as nations, we need to be able to um, regularly interact, not just on lives or through email, but to have face-to-face interactions. It would be nice if there was a micronation that was their whole thing was about uh, communication in mail, so they could be the postman nation, but we currently don't have anything like that. So I would think that the easiest thing would be to set apart uh, in our various economies, set apart resources just for shipment and delivery. And we need to get um, under our control and understanding how those things occur. Big business does it all the time. While they have the resources, if they wanted to, they could drive back and forth to each other. But again, they're dealing with time factors. So they have ways of shipping things back and forth. And because they do business this way, um, it's more affordable for them versus for us. So if there was something that we could discover that they do, then we could exploit that gem until we got to the point where it's like, you know what? Maybe once to four times a year, we make it a point to reach out to various allies. And if anybody's near, we have like not a convention, but it would be convention esque, where we're together, we exchange various things. So if I had something for you, um, if I had one thing for you, I would send it. But if we had a number of projects and things we want to send back and forth, and we currently are not economically able to do that, then you know what? We'll wait until the gathering. We'll just call it the gathering. We'll wait until the annual gathering, and then we'll do this exchange of various things. If it's a resource or something that can't wait, then it falls upon us to figure out how to do this. And perhaps with people watching, other nations watching, people will come forth with better ideas. I'm always talking about, the bus and various vehicles that can transport people. I could tell you and anyone watching, I could tell you this. If Drakkonia had a bus, I definitely would say, you know what? We write up a private contract, private insurance contract, and I would probably, take me and a couple of the heirs, to pick up any nations that's local, nation that's local, say that, hey, we want to go down to Aeternia and help out with the garden. That would give me a reason to be down there, help with the garden. So then I said, okay, you guys, you want to come? It'll be help me 8 of you. Okay, gas and time, so we can, and everybody pulling their resources together. Then we have a little bus trip. Others say, hey, can you stop through Louisville? Oh, there's a micronation in Louisville. Yeah, I just wanted to see the garden. I wanted to visit and everything else. We check them out. Emperor AP, somebody from Louisville. It's okay. Okay, we do this exchange. Picking you up Saturday morning, and we head on down. So that would be the only thing I could see currently, until one of us, or a number of us, get into a windfall of resources where it would be no problem going back and forth. Because people do this as a job. Truckers go across the country all the time. And all of us watching need to understand, those of us who are seeking to create some kind of change in the world, like Emperor AP, like myself. And this is not negating anybody who's saying, hey, just want to do this. No, I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that for those of us who seek to make some change, we're going to have to physically get into contact with each other. There are things that the Empire of Aeternia is doing that I really want to get my hands on. I really want to help them build X, Y, and Z. I want others to come together. Hey, let's go down there and help build this nation. Okay. I want to spend my money. I want to spend my time to go help Emperor AP, Aeternia, build. Why? Because it has to happen. That there's no other reason. It has to be. We don't have land currently. So let me take my skills and give it to someone who does. And even if I had land, let me take my skills and give it to someone who also has land. So if there are any, anyone out there that has any suggestions to add to what I'm, putting forth, please let us know. But that currently, that's the only thing I see that would really, really help right now.
I completely agree. And I definitely appreciate a number of the points that you brought up, one of which seemed to be kind of this overarching theme of um, a lack of resources. You kind of talk about this all of a sudden, if we have this windfall of resources, that we can do so much more. And talking about the efficiency of connecting at these annual gatherings, these meetings. I definitely think that it is crucial for us to be able to, as a community, start to increase the overall flow of resources. The larger each of our individual economies are, the more we are able to do as a nation individually, the more that we can come together collectively and do. And I think that you're hitting the nail on the head talking about um, regardless of one person having land or doing this or that, the different resources that people can bring to the table are ultimately going to be the things that help to launch off those larger and larger projects and make things like annual gatherings more and more filled and more substantial and give more and more reason for them to exist over time. Real quick before I go on too far, I want to say hey to everybody who is in the live chat. I appreciate you all being here. You are definitely helping us to grow this community, and I hope you are taking something away if you're running your own nations or if you're a part of another nation. And in general, I hope that you guys are answering along in the comments as to how you feel micronationalism should be developing. One of the people I see in the comments, the Kingdom of Kushti, good to see you. We have been talking to Kushti as well about trying to do a video together at some point in the future, hopefully about gardening, which brings us a little further into the Garden of Nations and how I think it'll be a great benefit for Aeternia locally here, how I think that will be able to spread to our allies in Drakkonia and be able to provide additional benefit to you all, and then hopefully how that kind of can can start a little bit of a chain, a little bit of a flow of resources that might make things easier on the nations that we're connected to. So the the big idea with the Garden of Nations is trying to find some way to be more active locally. We, of course, have had Vitae for uh, basically 2 years now. And in that time, we have had a very, very slow start to developing. We have started getting a dwelling out there, trying to make effectively a little shack to be able to store things and eventually upgrade it to the point that we can stay there. If you've been following along with the channel and our progress, you know that we finally got our driveway in, which has been incredible and allowing us to speed up that development.
Right.
But as far as the Tay goes, there's not a ton of reason for people to visit right now. There's not a ton that we can offer people at that location, which is the whole benefit and value for our nation of having a physical territory. So in all that, we're trying to find this way to kickstart things, to invite the public, like the opening of the Willy Wonka chocolate factory, and saying, "Come on, come all, here's what Eternia can offer you." And so,
Right.
in doing that, we're trying to start with this basic idea of a garden. All micronations all the time talk about and praise the concept of, oh, well, you should, one of the best things you can do to start out is start growing your own vegetables, start selling produce, start gardening, start farming. And for a long time in Eternia, we kind of rejected that model for ourselves because we didn't have physical territory. Not saying that it is not absolutely valuable if you can do it. And now circling back to the point that we have a little bit of land to be able to start gardening, as well as the technical resources to make that a little easier on us, we are getting to the point where it's becoming more and more necessary. And so
Mhm.
hopefully the idea is as that garden develops, as we start getting our produce in, we're going to start sending it out. Hopefully we can send some to Drakkonia. Hopefully we can send some to some of our other local micronations within the kind of surrounding states. And then the idea is as we can connect more to our community here, our neighbors in the U.S. and Alabama, what we really want to be a part of is showing people that this little small, uh, fraction of an acre piece that we'll be farming right there can substantially develop and provide benefit for people. As we do that, we would like to get sponsored by the micronational community if at all possible. We want to create this into a hub of activity. So as we invite people to come and take produce from our garden, as we are trying to get people to be more aware of what we're doing there and inviting people to come and tour and to see it for the first time, we will be also hoping that we can show off that, hey, this just isn't about Eternia. This is about the micronational community. And so we would like to have flags of other nations in our community proudly represented by our produce and showing that, again, this is a start to something that can feed us all. This is the start to something that can provide a larger benefit, an initial seed for the community in terms of economic growth for 12,024 and beyond. So um, as we move on with that, we're hoping to continue to develop our Ko-Fi campaign. If you haven't checked us out, there's a link in the description to our Ko-Fi page. One of the tiers that you can support us on as an individual donation to our Ko-Fi campaign is a flag in the Garden of Nations. So check that out. Let us know what you think of it. We will probably be revising that and improving it as time goes on, trying to fix details and start to shore things up. But if that's something you're interested in, email us, get on our Ko-Fi, let us know what's going on, and we will be pushing forward with more details to come. Um, the thing that I mentioned a second ago, we are starting to be more technically savvy as far as Vitae is very far away. So when we make this garden, we can't just um, throw it out there and forget about it. We don't have running water there. We don't have connection to local electric grids. So we're in a position where if we aren't out there constantly, there is almost no way to develop the garden. Now, the benefit that we've come up with, which is kind of a little bit of a crutch for us, a little bit of a support for us, is going to be that we are able to automate systems, which I hope will play a bigger role in Aeternia as time goes on. But this is something that we are developing right now that will hopefully have its first version implemented tomorrow, but we will see how that goes. We are effectively taking a small Arduino microcontroller, and we are creating an automatic watering system. So our plants right now have to go out. They are. I haven't done a garden update. If you guys have been following us on Instagram, I do garden updates every once in a while. The garden, as of the moment, is um, still fairly small, but big enough that we need to start having them have more direct sunlight for longer periods of time. We have currently had them indoors under grow lights and then occasionally bringing them outside, but we've had a few cold snaps recently, so I haven't wanted to keep them out and shock them. So now that we are getting to the point that they just have to go outside and get directly transplanted, we need some way to keep them watered consistently and check on them consistently out at Vitae to give them their space to grow. Um, what our plan is thus far is we have a large 22-gallon barrel. We are going to be filling that up. We are going to be putting a pump inside it and using the battery pack that we have already developed to pump water from that barrel out into the garden and to have that measured with the soil moisture percentage and give a feedback to our controller that tells us, hey, this is when you should be watering. That way, if we end up in a situation where it rains for 3 weeks straight for some reason, we're not overwatering our plants. If we are in a situation where we all of a sudden can't get out there for 2 weeks, as long as that has water in the barrel, we should be fine. And the biggest thing we'll have to worry about is going out there and charging that battery. So that will be a step forward for us. It'll be something that makes it a little easier for us, gives us a higher likelihood that our garden actually survives and makes it through the year, and that we get a substantial harvest. So uh, those are kind of multiple facets of this thing that I hope will provide additional benefits to the community, and that hopefully Emperor Von Doom, with some of the things that you and I have talked about, that we can really collaborate on and find ways to take the things that we've been trying to tinker with and experiment in this arena and move to Drakkonia's needs and figuring out how we can apply those to help you all.
This is what I mean by, you know, using your personal resource. You know, I would go down there, and others could go down there, and what we say lack in experience, we can gain by actually getting dirty and helping, develop the garden, develop structures. Maybe we have a weekend where, it's like 3 days. We leave out, Thursday, get there Friday, no nonsense, no messing around. It's time to get dirty, and we build the first structure on Vitae. And we're all doing it. We got 3 days to do it. Start Friday, we finish Sunday, do the video Monday. Hey, you guys, this is what we did. This is the whole video of the weekend. This is the structure. It's sound, and it started raining. So we got a good test of it. It's functioning. Here we go. What that does is it hopefully will encourage others to say, hey, you know what? We're in your region. Why don't we do the same thing? We've got land. You guys don't. Why don't we come together? What do you get from it? You get experience. Okay. I have helped build a structure. I've helped build, let's say an earth structure, you might want to build, or let's say we build a conventional little house. Okay. You've got that under your belt. That builds your knowledge, and that is a resource. So you might have spent all this money, and I'm going there because, again, some of us just can't afford this. And the first thing we see is money. Okay. Like any government, first thing you see is money. So if you don't have the money, but you have the time and you have the strength, then spend the money, go into the negative to go help Aeternia and do this. Why? It will help all of us. It will help all of us. It will send a message, okay, out there that, hey, maybe we could do this too. Hey, you guys were an inspiration that last year. We watched all your videos. and how Vitae got built up, and you got the garden, you got the first building, and now you've got, security cams, you got power. We want to help, or hey, can you guys help us? Okay, well, where are you guys? We're on an island in the middle of, like such and such. There's a boat that goes there, but now that's something none of us have had to deal with. So let's go do that. Eventually, our actions are going to lead us to a windfall of resources. I know this sounds spooky, but no, the more energy you put towards these things, more energy we put towards each other, somebody's going to come along and say, you know what? I see what these guys are doing. And even if it's, say, Aeternia, who someone says, you guys have gotten other nations or from all the way from Nevada to New England, and they've come to help you guys. Whatever you got going on, I want a piece of it. And as long as it's not, some shady, underhanded move, Emperor AP, will accept the benefit and for his nation, and then hey, that encourages the rest of us. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. The success of one harkens the success of us all. Okay, that's the way we have to look at it. And as far as the garden is concerned, maybe even I would venture to say, at least for Drakkonia, if we were to work to have a flag and a section in the garden, not if we are, but um, rather than send it to us, we would like the honor of uh, sending monetary resources to harvest our area, and then just post it where it say, Drakkonia is funding this area, and they'd like their vegetation or their fruit proceeds to go toward Aeternian citizens, or towards Alabama, like if there's a local market. Okay, Aeternia sets up, and just let it be known on your site or somewhere, or we'll put it on our site, that this is our gift to everyone else. You have a resource. You have land. You're building a garden. A garden is used to feed. Mostly, you can have a garden to help heal some people who might require healing, but for the most part, food. And if I'd rather, you know, I'd rather show that Drakkonia can be altruistic and giving. Okay, because we would do it like we want a community garden, but uh, each city here has these really wonky rules and regulations, what you can grow and how, all sorts of crazy stuff. So if we had our own land, yeah, and if we had enough food, we'd feed ours, and then we go to we do have like markets for local growers, and you set up a booth. Okay, we know most of the growers in our area, and they're cool people. And we always, I look at Empress Alicia, I'm like, I wish we could do that. And she's like, that would be great. Me and the kids were here, and so we would do that. Okay, so yeah, we would sell it, but you know what? There's times when, okay, sell it. What if we don't sell it? What if we let it go bad or something else? You can compost it, but you can also give it away. Or let's make some pies for one of the local churches, in the area. Okay, to give it away to people who need it. Or let's have a chili day for the homeless in the area. Something to show that this garden can help everyone. All right. So I put that forth to anybody that if they want to help Aeternia develop the garden, you couldn't get down there. You set up an account where every month you fork out a certain amount so that they can get seeds, they can get tools, or just gas to get out to Vitae, and say, hey, when you get when a yield comes up under my flag, donated to the Aeternian citizens, okay, or even if Emperor AP cans it and he's starting to preserve them in cans, he could put each nation's flag on the can and say, this was grown for this and that, yada, yada, yada. And this is what we have on our website. We're giving it to these people, or we're selling it, something to encourage monetary flow into Aeternia if you can't get down there.
I was going to bring up. I love that idea. I think that's fantastic. Especially putting a nation's flag on there and showing who has made that impact. I definitely appreciate that. If anybody wants to do that and wants to start supporting us and helping the garden, right now the best way to do that consistently would be our Patreon, and then, like I said, coming up our Ko-fi page where we can start to get people's flags in the garden. But that being the case, you brought up something interesting, talking about canning, talking about giving away to the local community, talking about finding ways to send it out to people. Of course, we're going to be planning some things locally. We haven't looked into our local like farmers markets, things like that. Although I would be interested to do that coming up as we start to get closer to a harvest time. I also have been thinking about ways to send it out relatively cheaply and to preserve things. So talking about canning and stuff. Um, I was also curious to look into what things are decent dried,
Yeah.
because I know sending out some kind of like chip form or whatever would be
Yeah.
a lot
Yeah.
easier, a lot cheaper. Trying to do stuff like that may become more practical as far as sending it out because we would love to send you guys like when we get our first harvest, we want to put a box together and send you guys like
Mhm.
a whole bunch of cans of like pickled whatever and all this kind of stuff. Um, when we do that though, doing it consistently, like if you guys said, "Oh, we love the stuff," we would love to get it monthly or whatever, or get something set up to
Exactly.
regularly collect on the harvest.
Hmm.
I think the worst part of it, and the most expensive part, would just be shipping the like big
Right.
heavy cans back and forth. So
Right.
if we can find little things like that, ways that we can dry things, ways that we can preserve things that are still useful and good for you guys for cooking and
Right.
for snacking and whatever, but that can minimize the amount that we have to charge for it just based on that shipping.
If I may, the other thing I want everyone to consider is let's just say we get a regular subscription, let's just call it, and we're getting um, Italian tomatoes, and they're dried, or let's say they're canned or however. But whatever we get, we have seeds from, and these seeds are viable. Listen, guys, that's money. This is real currency because we got something from Vitae that we can eat to nourish our bodies, and then we take the seeds from there, seeds that we may have, yeah, that we indirectly invested in. He did the sweat to plant and to develop it and everything else, and we paid the gas or however you want to look at it. But then we get seeds back, and then we've got repository, little packets of seeds over the year from zucchini or maybe tomatoes or whatever, and now we can replant that. So that's it. You sort of will invest in yourself depending on what it is. Okay. As long as it's a product that has viable seeds within it, you get something back. It may even be a matter of, you know what, we're doing a video, we're seeding these things so we can send the seeds back to you guys. And we got like pumpkin pie made with this, or we did this with that. So we've sold it, we've given it away, we've developed it, we ate it. But we've got packets of seeds now that we'll send back to you guys so that you can have a seed bank. It's essential because we don't know where our macro mother, brother, however you want to look at it, where they're going to lead this nation. And we need to be ready to have those resources. There's a couple of places, in the states that have been without power for various reasons. You know, um, but seeds are one of the oldest forms of currency. And we talk about investing or having the resources to do what we want to do. The first thing is, if we can't say, if we don't have a windfall of money immediately, we can have a windfall of seeds. You never know when when Jack needs those beans. So think about it that way too. The garden can provide so much if we look at it for what it really is. It is one of the oldest resources, the oldest bank that one can have. Is a garden. It gives you back. You work, you invest, you get something back, and you got seeds. You work, and that's just how it works. So you guys think about that.
Absolutely. And I definitely appreciate what you're saying about seeds there. I completely agree. That's another great resource that we can send out. One of the things, before we go on, I want to bring up, hey to everybody who has joined, who I haven't said hey to, Arshdragon, TRC Arjun, one of our citizens. Hello. Aaron from the Witchways, thank you so much for being here. I was going to wear the pendant that you gave. I was excited about. Oh, I hit my mic. I was excited about wearing it today, and I ended up breaking the clasp, so I'm gonna have to repair that. But it is a badge of honor. I assure you. Thank you so much for sending all that. And to kind of pivot off of what you were saying there, and one more thing. Please like the video. It would mean a lot. To pivot off what you were saying there, Emperor Von Doom, I completely agree. I think one of the big things that is going to be beneficial about what we're doing here, hopefully for the rest of the nations out there, and anybody who's wanting to, develop in a more sustainable, more, ecologically friendly nature, and to just be a little more self-sufficient, they, I think, will benefit from the fact that right now we're not farming, 20 acres, 40 acres, 100 acres. We don't know exactly what our niche is going to be to try and make profit off of the garden. And so as we're doing this, we are working on 3.3 acres as the total of vitae, and we don't want to use it all for gardening. So,
Right.
we're looking at a fraction of an acre, maybe an acre at absolute maximum if we really found a market for our produce. But the larger benefit that I think will be actually the fact that we are going to be doing research on this. We need to be efficient. We need to be able to consistently produce with the small amount of land that we will be using. We need to be able to consistently ensure the growth and stability of our plants. We will need to make sure that we can take as much time off of actually caring for and maintaining those plants over the long term, so that we can spend most of our time marketing those harvests and trying to move into developing other industries to supplement our income so that we can grow and continue that investment. All that being said, we're developing these automatic watering systems right now as a necessity, as something that if we didn't do it, it would be very, very difficult for us to successfully grow a harvest. The same thing is going to continue to happen as we push forward. We're going to be finding better ways of automating things, finding better ways to get ourselves more quickly out to vitae. And I hope that these are strategies that we can then go to the rest of the community and say, hey, we had to do this in a rush because we absolutely needed to. It was kind of grow or die. And so at this point, we are, looking back and saying, hey, we made all these mistakes in initially trying to launch these things. Here's what happened. Here's where you can benefit. This is where we left off. This is what we kind of finished out on. Take it and run. See what you can do with it.
Right.
And so I hope that's helpful to everybody. First off, Ashley, great to see you. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Love you guys, and I appreciate your support. So I guess that's my next curiosity, Emperor Von Doom. When we're talking about the development of Drakkonia, and you guys, wanting to find different different avenues to help and support, I think a big thing for me, something that I would like to put as a goal for myself to look into, is how we can find ways to connect on things that you all have the opportunity to profit from in your own community. If there's something that we find that we can do or produce or grow, and that will be something that your local community, macronational community, potentially other micronations in the local area, um, if you guys find something that works, if you are connected to these farmers markets and something comes up that rarely is able to be grown up there for whatever reason,
Mhm.
that's something that we can do. That's something that we can work on. And hopefully that makes it a little bit smoother process to start something that's worth all of the extra time and investment. Coming down for a weekend to help us to grow is an
Yeah.
incredible thing, and will create a large
Right.
boost for us. But at the same time, I think for the long term, for the 10, 20, 30 years development down the line, if we can build those real thin, wispy threads of connection that are just
Yeah.
real consistent, I'm hoping that will allow us to see um, uh, more frequent occurrences of those big trips and those bigger expansions on what we do.
Okay. Yeah, that can be done. Number one, it depends on how long your growing season is versus ours, which I'm assuming it should be a little longer. Two, uh, if it would also depend on, like you said you wanted to have just a certain amount of the parcel for the garden at this time, and you know it might. I'm sure right now would be the standard garden, but then there might be if there's a possibility of vertical gardens, or if some kind of maybe raised bed at the border or something else, um, and then we exploit the growing season that you guys have. That might help. The vertical garden allows for us to grow more in a smaller amount of space. But again, just to get the first level garden going alone is the challenge right now. So again, vertical garden allows us to grow more. That's what we wanted to do. We were looking into everything from hydroponics to um, electroculture, a number of different avenues, but we don't have the land to do the experiments. But again, we've done the research, but research can only take you so far, as you know, as a scientist. So yeah, that's my take on it. If we were to go vertical, I think we could, in other nations could have more. Though, I mean, right now, I think the easiest thing again with the standard, garden, um, we can look at again how long is the growing season in Alabama?
Um, that is a fantastic question. I would say it, for us, the standard times for a lot, the majority of your early spring plants are going to be starting early to mid March, and then
Okay.
going all the way through, a harvest and potentially a second planting, depending on what the
Yeah.
species is in August.
Okay. So
September maybe.
yeah, the I would have to go over it with the Empress and see what and again your soil quality is a lot better than some of the areas up here for certain things. I'd have to talk with her to see what we could arrange and what would be like if there was a unique you know uh, plant product that you guys could grow easily that is not always up here, because we've gone to the farmers markets here and they've had some rather unique things that are not easily grown, and those things tend to fetch a pretty price. So that again would be something that we could do. And everybody else again. And I want to mention I can't see the comments because my background is gray. So if anybody has a question for me, I'm not ignoring you. The text is white and the background is gray, so it's almost invisible for me. So if anybody has a question, Emperor AP would have to read it, and I would have to answer that way.
Absolutely. A number of people have said hello to you.
Greetings to
I am
all.
trying. My apologies.
That's okay.
I'm trying to see if there's anything else specific one of the things that a lot of people are doing is recommending specific plants and talking about stuff. I appreciate it, especially Michael Ryan here saying diversify. Several fruits and veggies survive a drought, sun/heat wave, diseases, etc. Start small, test, learn, and expand. I completely agree. I
Yep.
definitely appreciate it. Last year, we definitely learned. We planted a whole bunch of seeds. A little bit of onion grew, not enough for us to even harvest. But we weren't able to do very much out there that year. This year we're coming back a lot stronger. Definitely gonna be testing and trying things out. Um, uh, Archdragon saying cucumber and okra are a good choice. It's interesting. We actually have cucumber, okra, and dill because, as well as quite a number of other things, because Tiffany absolutely loves pickles. And as we're trying to get into pickling and finding ways to preserve things,
Right.
easy enough to start with. The cucumbers are, anybody who has ever grown cucumbers knows this, very large. Cucumber plants are very large. They're big vines that grow out on the ground. And we planted them in a day or two after we planted them. They were maybe that big. Now they are like this big. After a week maybe. They are as tall as some of our plants that we've been growing for the last 2.5 weeks. So they're growing quite big. We actually, that's part of the reason pushing us to go out so soon with the plants is the fact that they're getting to the point where of course they need more sunlight, but also some of them are just massive and are going to outgrow their pots. So we have these like biodegradable pots that we're just going to put straight into the ground and transplant that way. But yes, we are absolutely trying a whole bunch of different things. Michael Ryan said melons invade everything. Separation of species is key too. Absolutely, I appreciate it. I'm glad you bring that up as well, Michael Ryan. We are hoping to grow watermelon. That's something that we haven't planted yet, but we will definitely keep that in mind. So as we, get these larger things um, like the cucumbers planted out there, we'll try and keep those a little bit spaced out and separated from everything. And then we will significantly extend out where we put our watermelon and kind of have a separate area for that. That is a fantastic idea. One other thing in Von Doom, I know a lot of people have gotten into mushroom farming as
Yeah.
of the last 10 years or so. I think it's become kind of an interesting fad. And so we have been trying to experiment with that. We bought one of the little like grow kits
Okay.
over the last summer, just trying to collect and harvest our own mushrooms. One of the things that we've been looking into now that we have pate, that would be a very easy crop to start growing, is to actually get mushroom plug spores. Since we have plenty of dead, rotting wood out at pate, it would be convenient for us to buy just large packs of these spores uh, and uh, and to culture. I'm probably butchering these terms. I am not a biologist by any means, but
That's okay.
we will be putting all of these into logs and setting the logs out, having different areas that are going to be for different types of mushrooms, and just seeing if we can start to develop that way as well. From
Yeah.
the little bit of research I've done, once you actually put these spore plugs in, they kind of, for multiple growing seasons, will kind of come back. And
Right.
you'll have mushrooms for quite a few years from them. So,
Yes.
depending on if there's something that your local area, there aren't too many people that grow it. I know things like lion's mane are like a little bit more specific,
Yes.
but if we could find things like that we could dry out, or that, I mean, mushrooms pretty light. Like I think you could just package the mushroom and send it.
Yeah.
Um, Anything like that that's just a little, hey, this is a weird niche thing.
Yeah.
We can try that.
Yeah. The mushrooms you I was going to mention that at the farmers market they are a hot item. Um, especially medicinal mushrooms. Their use is so diverse. Everything from you know enjoyment of eating. People use them to replace meat, and then they're again they have qualities from adaptogens to antiviral, just everything you can imagine. Each of these mushrooms has a number of different powers, I'll say. that we can exploit. Um, I know some people that need lion's mane. Um, and it's hard. Well, not hard, but it's expensive. You go to Amazon, you get you some lion's mane pills, and you never know what's in it. Well, someone who's relatively healthy can mess around with some pills and supplements. It's say, hey, it worked for me. But I know some people who are suffering with cancer, and they don't need to mess around with products that they aren't sure of. But if there was, say, dried lion's mane that that we're getting on a regular from you guys, let's say, um, then I could say, hey, we've got some dried lion's mane. I ground it up in my mortar and pestle in my alchemical lab and whatever else, and here you are, powdered packs, and go from there. Real earthy substance that is brought. Again, that is money. You can't cure anybody with $10 bill. Hell, I could have $1,000 stack of money. It's not going to make them well. There's no doctor that's going to take it. Lion's mane. So I have a stack. I have $1,000 right here, and I've got a large cup of finely powdered lion's mane. You tell me what you're going to grab. So again, I want everyone to hear what's going on. I want everybody to think carefully about what's going on. This is the beginning of something much bigger. Again, because Emperor AP has land, it's reasonable to think that we continue to go further and we help him. He is going to possibly come upon more land. Okay. And so if he does, it's quite possible that there's a parcel that is dedicated just for growing. The same for all of us. We get land, or any of you acquire property, or any of you that have property. If you start growing a certain product, other nations need. Okay, then that's how we start having this regular interaction. Okay, I'm buying lion's mane.
Oh, thank
That
you. I
funding
appreciate it.
goes toward the building of Aeternia. That's a mutual benefit. Okay, I'm helping heal people, and they're taking that resource, not only building the garden, but hey, we've got some of this, and the money that Aeternia sent to us, we've already covered what it's supposed to cover. We have some extra. We're going to put it toward here. That's how the nations grow. So yeah, that right there, the mushroom thing, absolutely, that was one of the first things we wanted to do. We were going to buy a small house or maybe apartment complex that's not used anymore, and get it from the city and start growing mushrooms. And I was, talking about growing them inside to isolate them from any other species, so that there's no risk of cross contamination, cross breeding, where we're selling poisonous mushrooms, because the others have come into the batch. So yeah, mushrooms are excellent option, and yeah, it's the gift that keeps on giving. As long as you got rotten timber and whatnot, yeah, it's an easy thing. And depending on where you are in the United States, you can make $100,000 a year just on mushrooms and microgreens. Okay, everybody up here does microgreens, so this is microgreens out of the wazoo up here. But the mushrooms are still a hot item.
I'm glad to hear. I definitely hope that it is, and just trying to find things like that in the future when we have a little more money to invest. I would love to do things like get fruit trees from nurseries that are already starting to produce fruit and stuff, and try to actually expand just the variety of stuff we have overall. But
Right.
we'll do it year after year. Real quick, a few things that have been brought up for you, Emperor Von Doom. First off, Empire of Serbia says hello. Hey, Empire of Serbia, thank you for being here. Serbska, excuse me. Also, thank you guys for liking the video. I see a few people have. Michael Ryan brings up, also hydroponics and vertical farming has begun failing on a large scale. A number of Oh, my apologies. These two are uh, jumping back and forth with each other, but also hydroponics and vertical farming have begun failing on large scales. A number of large companies have shut down enormous farms that were set up for urban development. And then Aaron replies, "That's a bit of misinformation. The farms are not failing. The techniques used in those cases were severely lacking." I'm curious to see the continuation of that. Aaron says there are plenty of successful farms within the European area that have been active and thriving for years. Um, and it says nothing is foolproof, and those forms of agricultural techniques have a higher skill ceiling required to have them successful. COVID really impacted the talent within those circles. I definitely understand. I would say um, different techniques, different experimentation for sure is going to be something that we are trying to jump on. Again, that limited size, that limited uh, area that we have to actually develop a garden is going to be crucial for um, trying to push the boundaries. So vertical farming will help us to save space. It's definitely something that we will be looking into in the future. Like you said, in Doom, raised beds, trying to find things like mushrooms that we can kind of set and forget and not worry about too much. We'll be doing it all for sure. Um, do you have any comment in Doom?
Yeah, actually, we have some windows, like storm windows, saved up in the back, and the Drakonian territory we have right now is just the house and the parcel that it's on. So there's not enough room to build a greenhouse. I built a shed, a tool shed, but that's about it. Um, we were saving the storm windows for creating a little greenhouse. Should fate be kind and allow me to get down there, if we don't use these, if you could use them, if I mean, again, uh, to create a little greenhouse, it wouldn't take up too much of vitae. But if you were looking at having a greenhouse and I were coming that way, I would just load up the van and bring the glass down to you. Again, it would be enough to create yeah, a small, mm, I don't know, not very big, which is fine. But you'd be able to create a little greenhouse with some lumber and all the glass and everything else to allow you to grow certain things during the off season. So just think about that, and if so, then I will mark them as going out of here again. If I get down there, I will bring them with me,
Yep.
and then I will leave them with you. And any other resource, again, if anybody out there is near Vitae, is near Alabama, and you have some resources, uh, storm windows, bricks, timber, um, I mean, sorry, lumber, any building resources, reach out to Emperor AP. Let him know, hey, we'll be blowing through there, or hey, you know what, I live here. Can you get some gas? I've got a truckload of this, something to expedite the development of this nation. Okay. I'm really asking you guys to kind of, you know, set the gears in motion and say, well, I'm in Mississippi. Well, we do have this. My grandpa has a load of that. That's going to be kind of a trip. You know, look at the nation like a spouse, even if you're not married, a girlfriend or boyfriend. The guys out there, you take her out to dinner. I'm gonna sound old fashioned, but you're gonna take her out to dinner. You're gonna do these various things. You're gonna court her. You're gonna put on the best clothes. You're gonna strut your feathers to show, hey, I'm a good suitor. Okay, a mate is expensive, but you do it anyway because you get something from it, or you're hoping to get something from it. Ladies, you doll yourself up, you adorn yourself, you put on this false face. You strut your feathers. This is what we do to acquire a mate. And then that mate is expensive. It's an investment. Then you end up having children, should it go right. The emotional investment, everything else. A nation is the same thing. To the rulers out here, you have to consider, well, I may not have, like sometimes it's, I've got the money, but if I spend it, I'll have nothing. Spend it. Spend it.
Well said.
Aeternia needs X, Y, and Z. I have it. I work at McDonald's right now. I'm a king, in my basement, but I have this. I could get it to them, but then I'll spend all that. I won't be able to go to Comic-Con or anything else. But you know what? Damn it, I'm about this. I am for real about this. I'm going to reach out to them and I'm going to bring that. I might need a little extra gas, but my grandpa's got tons of material and it's not going anywhere, or he passed away and they're getting ready to ship this to, they're going to get rid of this stuff. I'm going to do this and I'm going to get it to them. That's what we need to start doing. What do I have that I don't really need, but someone else can use? So yeah, I'm asking all of you to think about that who are nearby. Okay, and sometimes there might be nations that are very far away. Say, yeah, we got it. We'll come on down. That's great too. I'm just saying to make it easy. If there are nations near Aeternia, reach out, do for them, please, so we can do for each other.
And I definitely appreciate that, and I agree. One of the things to bring up, Ashley brought up, and Ashley's actually local. My friends Jet and Ashley, people who have gotten awards for supporting Eternia and helping us.
Right on, Ashley.
Ashley asks, what are the best ways for others to support the garden? And I would say for anybody that's local, like Emperor Von Doom said, anything from donating resources always helps. Right now we have a limit with that because we're still not fully out living on Vitae. So, and we don't even have real, fence, developed. We don't have any kind of boundary set up that can really protect our things there. So there's a limit to what we want to put out there. If you give us some really valuable resources, we want to make sure that we take care of that. So lumber, things like that, we don't mind putting out there. We can kind of tuck it away. It'll be fine. But that being the case, if you have resources, that helps. As well, if you're local, just coming and helping in some way, doing some kind of labor with us. There's labor that's not so fun, you know what I mean? Raking and hoeing and doing things like that, and nailing wood to a frame. There's things like that, and then there's eventually going to be some work that I think a lot of people will be excited about, some kind of fun work, things like actually going when it's time to harvest and actually helping us to collect everything, because when something starts to become ripe for harvest, pretty quickly you want to get that thing plucked off the vine, or pulled out of the ground or whatever, or else it's going to start rotting and you have to throw it away. So whenever we get ready to start moving on our harvest, we're going to want people, to come every few days with us to try and go regularly harvest and make sure we're doing that. So that would mean a lot to us. Trying to financially support, if you say, hey, I don't really want to go out there and do that labor, or I have a medical condition, I can't do that. I don't really have any like resources like lumber or whatever that I can bring. But I do like fresh vegetables and fresh tomatoes and things like that. Um, Definitely reach out to us. Either set it up through Patreon, where we can set up a tier specifically for supporting the garden. We can even do again um, a thing on our Ko-fi page where we are having kind of this one-time setup for the Garden of Nations. We could do a similar thing that's, hey, you're somebody local, you pay for this, and you can come and fill up a box of the of produce, of whatever you want. You can come and fill up a box with it, and take it home for set price. there's a number of things that we can do, and depending on what your situation is, if you need us to deliver it, if you need us to do whatever, reach out to us. We want to make things work for everybody. We want people to support the garden. We're not going to be able to do stuff with all of it anyway. At a certain point, we're going to take what we need for ourselves. We're going to try and preserve as much of it as we can, and then we're looking to give it away. We want to give it away to some micronations. We want people to try our produce and get excited about it. But we also want to give away the rest of it to the community, the people around here who need it, whether it's to homeless shelters, whether it's to people who can use it in local produce stands and things like that. We want to make sure that that's spread out and used and completed, that harvest is fully utilized. So definitely, of course, financially online, Patreon, our Ko-Fi page, both links in the description if you want to help with those. That's the biggest way to help the garden. We need money to do things. Secondly, if you're local, coming and helping, showing up, doing some work with us, it takes a lot of the stress off of those days for us. And then finally, if you have any of those resources, please support that, and bring those to us. Find a way to coordinate with us. We don't have a ton of resources for doing things like that, but that's again an additional component of Aeternia and of the Tay that we're trying to develop. Now that we have the driveway, we're hoping to start working on an old trailer that we have, and our RV, of course. So eventually there will be more methods for us to start moving things ourselves. So if you have large amounts of stuff, if you have, a big farm for whatever reason, and you say, hey, we have this stuff over in that field, we were going to build this pole barn or whatever, it fell down, or we couldn't do it, and it's just been sitting there. I'm going to have this for years. I don't have any intention of moving it. It's just going to sit there. Let us know. And, if you earmark that for us, then when we get the resources, when we can find somebody who has a big trailer, we can get a truck together or whatever, we will come out and pick it up. Just let us know what you have, talk to us, tell us how far out you are, and just what you can do. We are accepting all help we can get.
As well,
Also,
and I'd like to also say, depending on the, I'm not sure how this works, but depending on the structure that Aeternia is legally, for some of you, it might be a tax write-off. I don't know how tax write-off works with, like, there's some micronations out there that may have actually become, that might have a parallel that is a non-for-profit, or a parallel which is still state-owned. But I don't know how it works with an entity like a micronation that might be more likely is private. Like, I don't know if you can have a tax write-off if you just given something to a person or an organization that is not on the books per se. That's something that we would have to research. Something, now that I'm speaking of it, I'm going to have to research that too. But if it's possible, people could say, hey, this will be a good tax write-off. I've got, a business, and I've got tons of chicken wire I can't use, or barbed wire that we're just going to take to the scrap yard. But if I can write it off to Aeternia, and just have your signature, that might be good enough. That's an idea as well. And I just wanted to say, Emperor AP, to you, that when we watched the video of the driveway, the first thing the children are just, they're all AP, they're like, it's AP, and they're like, the driveway's done, we're going to Aeternia, yeah, and I'm like, wait, no, it you just got the driveway, and it's not ready to go to. They're like, oh, I thought, they thought the driveway was made, and
we're
that
good.
means we can go, so this is the kind of thing that I'm talking about, guys. My heirs, my offspring, they see Aeternia in a way that probably none of us do, because the mind of a child is unique, and then we get bigger and we forget. But they're like, it's another kingdom. And here's the thing, like, no shade, no shade on Emperor AP, but they're like, he's got land, yeah, and a driveway, Dad. What about you? And I'm like, okay, yeah, let's finish the video. So just letting you got Aeternian cheerleaders over here in Drakkonia, that are excited that you have a driveway. Because when they saw the video, I got the call. I was like, he's got a driveway. I'm like, I'm headed there. I'll be home, And then we watched the video. So again, hats off here for the driveway. These developments have to continue. And and I know I sound, to those of you out there, I know I sound like a cheerleader for Aeternia, and I am. And I want to spread that. So these developments have to continue. Okay, they have to. We have to continue to grow. This is what when we were talking about the possibility of a League of Nations. Okay, this is what starts a League of Nations. When the nations come together and they're doing for each other. Okay. Again, nothing lasts forever. And let's say things change on this landmass that we're on. Okay. But Aeternia has land that's been marked for theirs. Well, now they have a resource that is now top tier. Okay. I mean, I don't want to talk about anything so grim, but there are disasters that happen all over it all the time. And we have to have a number of our nations that are fully developed. And what is fully developed? Even if you're an infant nation, meaning you got land, you got some resources, and you're on your own, and you got the basic resources, but you may not be that big. That's good enough. So again, everybody think about what you can do if you're nearby. Like I've said over, we've already beaten that horse, but really, really think about it. And he said, yeah, you're talking to each other. If anyone's near each other, do the same thing. Okay. If you're overseas, I don't have an answer. Okay. Until we have teleporters or, warp drive, it's well, not warp drive in the atmosphere, no, but teleporters, and very, 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 very fast vehicles. Yeah, the pond thing is sort of a challenge. But for those of us here in the States, yeah, we can do this. We can do this. Okay, just know that.
I 100% agree. It's really encouraging to see a lot of micronations out there who are working together, who are trying to do different things. Especially, despite those geographic boundaries and things, there's always a limit to what can be done. I 100% agree. When you're dealing with people on the other side of the planet, or even just, out of driving distance, it feels nearly the same. It feels super inconvenient. It feels hard to share resources. But it's always nice to see when there's different conferences, people coming together, different just individual nations kind of having like a little local meetup is really, really cool. And I think we're trying to do more of that for sure. We're trying to push that in Aeternia. Of course, we miss you all and we want to see you in Drakkonia. But the big idea, I think, for us going forward is trying to establish more ways of doing that, whether it be online, whether it be physically trading resources and doing that. We're going to try and dabble in as much of it as we can, resources permitted. We have already sent out some Vitaeum to Drakkonia, and we're excited about that. I hope you all enjoy it. We have visited the opening of the Kingdom of Arkovia's first retail business, their first retail storefront, which is incredible. We haven't been able to do any kind of trading or any interaction with them very much, but we hope to put out a video on it soon and kind of explain the process for them and what they've been up to, which very well may tie into future economic activities between the two of us. We're hoping to put out a video eventually with the Kingdom of Kushti, who are developing a farm, and their own nation out in Arizona. There are plenty of people who are doing amazing things in our community. Um, I encourage everybody to check them out, to go and support them. If you can support us and help us to grow, we appreciate it. We're going to boom it back out on these platforms and try our best to get you all some support along with us. If you are, like Emperor Von Doom said, next to another nation, try to help, try to support. If you are a nation by itself and you feel like, hey, we haven't connected with a ton of micronations online, we haven't really, made strong bonds there, haven't found our niche. We really, don't have any other micronations around us. People don't really know what it is. That's a prime opportunity to talk to people in your community and to ask in your macronational community what those people need, what's important, do they feel like is missing in their lives, what do they feel like is something that if it were a little bit easier for them would be an improvement. Try to find those sore spots and try to make sure that as you develop, you speak more openly about the ideas that you're developing, because I think a lot of the time in micronationalism, we do tend to kind of focus on ourselves and our development and our growth. And we focus on these like really big picture ideas of what we're going to be doing when we have all this land and all this power and all these different things. Um, Ultimately, the things that are going to be successful in growing an economy and in developing a citizenry and in helping you to acquire land are all going to be things that people want and need, and you need their opinions for that. You need their ideas for that. You need their work and their support for that. So boost these other micronations, support them, work together with us, try to move forward. We have a limited amount of time and a limited amount of resources, but with all of that, we are trying our best to put out what we can and help to build our network of friends here in the micronational community. And again, with people like Jet and Ashley supporting us, it means a lot locally. We have a number of local citizens which have been wonderful and supportive. And we, of course, have our citizens online, people like Arjun, people like, Richard Taylor, uh, everybody who has been here for us over the years. It's incredible because people who have just helped us, in passing, people who have come in and written documents for us and have talked to us about our ideas, and people who have tried to make like short explainer videos for us and things like that. All of their support has led to right now, and we aren't massive yet. We aren't super profitable or anything like that, but um, we I don't think are too far away from getting those things started. So um, I appreciate you all in Von Doom, and I'm excited to see what the future holds for that. I hope as we keep updating and keep going on things, that only provides more and more, eureka moments of, oh, we can do this and we can do that. Now we finally have the thing to do this and that, and it goes from there.
Same here. Which I'd like to say in reference to expanding in resources and development. Um, Everybody, I'm going to be doing a video opening the clay that was sent to us. Now, again, I have two laboratories, or laboratory, however you want to pronounce it. And one is for my energy research, and the other one is, I call it my alchemical setup. It's where I do my more juicy biological and chemical modifications and whatnot. And I've unpacked more stuff from my other property, so it's really it's a cluster mess right now. But when we do the video, which should be soon, we're going to open it up. I haven't opened it up yet, And the research that we're doing, again, we're looking at, like, clay is another resource that I want to talk about in reference to what Drakkonia is aiming toward. We're looking at energy resources so that when we get land, we can, how can I say this? We could expedite our energy independence. Okay. We want to be able to use the resources around us. Our philosophy is, what if all resources, as far as the grid and gasoline and all that stuff, was no longer available? Could we maintain the level of convenience and comfort that we have today? Because I'm not going to pretend I want what I have now. I want lights on. I want to be able to, have heat without, making the fire and, I don't want to go caveman. There are a lot of people who think they do, but you really don't. Zombie apocalypse, man. That's when the real stuff. No, you're going to die. Okay. There's nothing fun about survival. It's all fun when you could go back home.
Right.
That's I think people just don't get it. When there's no home to go to, when survival is your home, you don't want that. Now, we're all accustomed to life here in the West with all these conveniences, even though we're surrounded by, a number of, horrible people maybe and horrible circumstances, but your lights are on, you got toilet paper, you got a toilet that flushes, you got water that comes out of the tap, but the water has chemicals in it. Yeah, but you can wash your butt. Okay. I mean, come on, seriously, we've got stuff and you don't want to be without it. But for those of us building nations, we know that we're, in a lot of ways, starting over and kickstarting a new civilization. But we're doing it, again, another relationship to think about it, parent-child. So if you don't want to look at your nation as, a spouse that you need to take care of, a spouse that you're going to invest time and effort in, look at it like a child. It doesn't change. A child takes more attention, resources. You will kill for that child. You will kill to protect that child. You will go without to feed that child. Your nation is your other child. Now, if you don't have children currently and you have a micronation, you got a baby. And you got to feed it. You got to take care of it. You got to do all this stuff. And when you see another parent like Emperor AP with his baby, and you've got something and his baby is crying, I need resources. Well, you know what? I want that child I want to take care of that child. I'm gonna look at it because I've got one. I'm gonna help out. Here you go. You have to look at it that way. Our history shows this. Good kings think this way. Good leaders think this way. There are leaders I'm gonna leave nameless right now because they're controversial. But these leaders, regardless of what the media, how they've painted this leader, he basically did for his people before he did for himself. Okay, a leader that did for his people before he did for his own parents, because he wanted to show these resources that we've acquired, the people need to benefit first. I don't see many people, many leaders, or many governments doing that. So you have to focus on your empire, your kingdom, your whatever, as a child. But again, your structured government will dictate, how you do that. And, Emperor AP has discussed this with a number of you in the past, which structure of government will allow you to do this. So if you're co-parenting, I'll just say, I won't mention the type of government because I don't want to bother anybody, but if you got like a number of parents taking care of one child, we've seen how that goes. But in the case of an emperor has an empress. So that's usually a two-parent household there. So, Emperor AP has Tiffany. Okay. And even if you're emperor and you don't have an empress, you've got a child, your kingdom. So Let me stop all my long-winded talking and go back to the resource. So power is our biggest thing. We want to be energy independent. We've done some research regarding the use of clay, not just as batteries. Okay, they have they can be the root of um, different forms of capacitors. They can be the root of a new, like baseline tools. If again, if I don't have a mill or anything else like that, how diverse is clay? Clay can make dishes, as you've seen in a number of AP's videos. He's just done it with a simple setup, and he's made pottery. Some of us pay for classes for that. And he's like, hey, watch my video. This is what we did right here, and like really simple. But simple kind of betrays the power that that video gave you. There are areas where there's clay available to a lot of people. This region I live in, no. But south of here, yes. And this is why I requested the Vitaeum, is because, we don't have it readily available here. And, we hope that, depending on our developments, we get more. And that will show us, okay, we've done this. The batteries yielded these results. The instruments yielded these results. Can we get back to being an advanced society with very little tools? We will be surrounded by trees, dirt, rocks. Can we develop from that point? I don't think we're ever going to be at that point where there's just not going to be, but there's every possibility that could happen. So we will be doing videos showing the progress and the steps. I will be in contact with Emperor AP, on various things, especially I have a lot of questions. We might do a video where, he's actually helping me, do measurements, or maybe say, we'll try this or we'll do that, sort of like an online science, thing or research together, because, Emperor AP is a scientist as well as emperor. Okay, so, he may say, well, I haven't got my, this or that yet. No, my professor told me, no, you're a scientist because you can ask questions and you're pursuing this regardless of anything else. So, yes, you're a scientist and I respect you for that. So, not just an emperor, but a brain. And that's what we all need. And if there are any kingdoms out there that, you don't know what to do, and you want guidance, maybe you want to make yourself, I hope I'm not throwing you out there without your permission, but I'm saying maybe they want to make themselves protectorates of, Aeternia. Okay. And instead of saying, you know what, I'm gonna just throw this in, I'm gonna join Aeternia, maybe it's like, can our kingdom join Aeternia, and that way you guide us as we, put our kingdom underneath the empire, that kind of thing. So I'm just putting that out there. You may or may not want to deal with that. I don't know. But that way the resources can, you can expand your resources because you have this kingdom, which now is under Aeternia, and they've got certain resources. And so then now you've got a direct, collaboration since they're already under Aeternia. And the same for any other empires out there like ours. If there's somebody has a kingdom and they don't know exactly what to do with it, and you've got some resources, you got some skills. I got moderator skills, I got computer skills, but I have a kingdom. I really don't know what to do with it. Hey, Drakkonia, can we be, protector of you guys? Can we join you or any other empires out there? You know, I'm not one that will say, well, if we take you in, you stay and you obey. No, we take you in, we work together. If you're like, I'm ready to kind of venture out on my own, okay. It was good, and we still have a relationship. We foster a kingdom in in this way, like a parent to a child. Every child grows up. Our empires will outgrow us, and hopefully be everything we wanted it to be. All right. So again, I can be rather long-winded. I apologize, everybody. So the video on the Vitaeum will be coming up. I don't know when. but it will be soon because again, I've just put new shelving up for some lab equipment and everything else, and then we will go from there. Just to show again where our focus is. Drakonia's focus is energy independence, which is also Eternia's. Okay, but with land, you've got some elbow room to say, well, we focus on growing some food, and we got power here with the batteries, with the e-cig cartridges, all that stuff is inspiring. Okay, look at Eternia as proof of concept of what they can get. There might be someone out there that has land that they could donate. I know that sounds ridiculous, like why would I give land away? But I think if someone gave land to Drakkonia, I would say I'd be beyond grateful. I'd say if at any time you needed somewhere to go, as long as you weren't running from the law for murder or anything like that, the land you've bestowed upon us, you are welcome. We will put a plaque up for you. Like, hey, this is an honorary Drakkonian, and the same for anybody that might have a parcel of land, even if it's like a 0.1 acre, and say, hey, didn't know what to do with it. I'll give it to you guys. You guys are in X, Y, and Z. This is in such and such Alabama, so it might be a little bit further from Vitae, but now Eternia has options. They've got more land. So
Agreed.
I'm just saying, you might want to do that if you have it. Donate it.
I agree, and I definitely appreciate that. I hello. I wanted to bring up. I am about to have to go. Tiffany has arrived, and we have some additional plans to attend to. But that being the case, thank you so much, everybody, for being here. I wanted to real quick respond to comments that I had seen a minute ago. Aaron, yes, 100%. Beehives would be fantastic, and also Serbska that mentioned that. We would definitely be looking into that. To everyone else and all the other comments, I'm sorry I didn't get to them. It's good to see everybody. Thank you all again so much for liking the video. If you want to help out, links are in the description. Again, thank you so much, Emperor Von Doom, for being here. I am excited as always to see what the future for our nations holds, and the development of our alliance. And until next time, Aeternia and Drakkonia forever.
Eternia forever.
Bye, everybody.